Usually, for Modern to get shaken up, one of two things need to happen. Either there is a banning or unbanning of a card, or a new set comes out. So rarely does the format get shaken up by a new archetype, breakout archetype, so late in the season. But that is today. Sometimes a deck is so bad, it can be good. It has only one good matchup, all the winning decks. We call that the meta deck. Introducing Red-Green Ponza in 2020. That's right. You know what? This deck, it's been around. It's not a new thing, but it most certainly has never actually seen any real competitive play. But right now, it is just destroying all the best decks in the metagame, and it is making top 8s consistently. This is a very serious, dangerous player that Modern did not see coming. Modern had no idea that this was coming out of left field, and now it is a force to be reckoned with. It's basically just a bunch of janky, big, red-green creatures backed up with some random win conditions like Magus of the Moon, Pillage, and then they're gonna choke or boil you to death. And that's all this thing is. I don't even know why this is really winning in the metagame. Well, I can understand in some cases. So, for example, mana dorks suck in Modern. Why? Because bolt the bird. You just bolt the bird. That's all you have to do. And you basically slow down any mana dork deck. Not this one. It uses Utopia Sprawl. So Utopia Sprawl, enchant a forest. When it comes into play, choose a color. And that's your mana ramp. You can have turn 2 Magus of the Moon and you're not going to do anything about it. You thought you were going to bolt the the Arbor Elf? No, that's not going to happen. Turn 1 Utopia Sprawl, turn 2 Magus of the Moon on the play is going to destroy a million decks. Even if you're a deck with a bunch of basic lands in it, let's say Bant Control, you're still going to have tons of fetch lands in that deck, and if you face turn 2 Magus of the Moon, you could be in a lot of trouble, especially if you do not have an Arkham's Astrolabe available to you. So, and I mean, not just that, Tron hates this card. Eldrazi, Tron hates this card. They need colorless mana sources, and they need them fast. This deck does not BS around. It goes up on the curve super quickly. You're going to be facing down Bloodbraid Elf in a flash of a second, which can find Magus of the Moon, by the way, into other things. Bone Crusher Giant, Scavenging Ooze, Klothys, God of Destiny, new card that came out of Theros Beyond Death, indestructible 4/5 for 3 mana, why not? And it eats the graveyard! Take that, Dredge! So at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a land, you add mana to hell rampant your Glory Bringer. What the hell is this thing doing in here? Who would have predicted Glory Bringer was playable in Modern? If you made a bet with me that Glory Bringer one day was going to see Modern play, I would have lost all my cards. I would have lost my collection to that bet. So anyway, Klothys God of Destiny, ramping you into a stupid top end, which isn't really supposed to exist in Modern at all, while also gaining you life and dealing damage at the same time. Klothys does it all. It found the perfect shell here in Red-Green Ponza. Not to mention we got Seasoned Pyromancer, All-Star from Modern Horizons. Found some play in Mardu Pyromancer. Now it is finding play in Red-Green Ponza. It is a way of grinding, creating a lot of value. You can find the damn thing off of, Bloodbraid Elf. I mean, Bloodbraid Elf just finds everything in this deck. Everything. It finds whatever it wants. And a lot of good cards. You used to have a lot of duds. There used to be more trash that you could find, but now it's all good stuff. The worst thing you can find is basically an Arbor Elf or Utopia Sprawl. So, so this card, universally good against many different archetypes. We know Burn and Burn is coming back. That they can't deal with 2 life a turn. Your opponent's gaining 2 life a turn? That's almost as bad as Core Firewalker. Bone Crusher Giant, a new addition to this deck from Throne of Eldraine. You now can deal 2 damage to something, or you have a 4/3 creature. Excellent synergy with the Bloodbraid Elf. So if it's in your hand, you can use that as a removal spell. If it's not in your hand, you have a free 4/3 creature. So for 4 mana, you can get a 3/2 creature with haste plus a 4/3. That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. Let's go back to Glorybringer. If you lose to Glorybringer, that is just absolutely sad. How can you lose to this card? I understand. You can't Fatal Push it. You can't Lightning Bolt the damn thing. And I know it's like... it was a bomb rare in Draft. And I understand, you know, the really good cards in Draft usually end up being really good cards in Standard. And the really good cards in Standard end up becoming All-Stars in Modern. Well, this card didn't see any play at all in Modern. No one cared about Glorybringer. Glorybringer had no glory in Modern. It's just a chunky piece of garbage. It's just trash. But it's found a home here. Somehow this card is now an all-star in this archetype. And to make matters worse, we got Questing Beast in here. What's up with Questing Beast? We've got Questing Beast. This deck is basically standard all-stars all brought together at once, as far as I'm concerned. You got Chandra, Torch of Defiance, another standard all-star. Saw some that only basically saw modern play in this archetype. So you got Lightning Bolt, of course. Pillage! So Pillage, Moshi Scanlan will love this card. Pillage seeing play in this deck, you destroy either a land or an artifact, which are still important today. Alright, blow up those Mind Stones, those Expedition Maps, the Oblivion Stones, the Ensnaring Bridge, the Walking Ballistas. It has a lot of application in today's modern metagame. A lot of artifacts. Blow up the Arkham's Astrolabe. Now let's see what you do with your... Let's see it fix your mana now, Uro deck. Let's see it. Let's see it. And you know what? Just to drill it in a little bit harder. Make those Uros pay. Make them pay. Oh, they got Choke and Boil in the sideboard. This deck is not BSing around. It's just going to make sure that the Bant control deck does not see the light of day. Choke them on all their mana if Choke resolves on turn, which by the way they can do on turn 2. Turn 1 Utopia Sprawl, turn 2 Choke. Let's see Mana Leak do something about that. Let's see Mystical Dispute do something about that. Let's see Cryptic Command, Archmage's Charm. You're not going to do anything about Choke. Choke is going to choke you out, and that's basically game over. Same thing with Boil. Destroy all the islands, all of them. All the islands, they're all gone. You're going to be absolutely destroyed. And, you know, we've got Obstinate Baloth, give a nice surprise to all the Jund decks, playing Liliana and +1. Another Chandra, Awaken Inferno. More stuff that can't be countered. Just sending a message. Bant Uro decks, you go back where you came from. You do not belong here. This deck belongs here. What other big deck? Okay, so it's crapping on the Bant control decks. It's destroying Eldrazi decks. It's destroying the Burn decks. Also, I know Burn. They want their lands, all right? Burn loves their land. They sometimes keep a 1-2 lander and hope that they can get there with that. It's not going to be the same in this Pillage deck. Not to mention, like, they can't even attack into any of this stuff. What do they even Magus of the Moon might screw over a Burn deck once in a while because they don't have white mana for the Lightning Helix, the Boros Charms. So I mean, the deck is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The attrition-based decks, they don't want to see it because of the Obstinate Baloth and the Pillage again. Pillage is a beating. I mean, if Pillage resolves, it is a beating against a lot of other decks. Not to mention, like, against attrition-based decks, you got the value. You got the Bloodbraid Elf. You got the Seasoned Pyromancer. You got the Klothys. You got Bonecrusher Giant. You have the Glorybringer. Glorybringer killing something, and you have a 4/4 flyer after that. Okay, sure, you can't attack with it next turn, but you still have a Glorybringer on the battlefield. This deck was, you know, sort of unforeseen. I mean, it's an archetype. We all knew about this archetype for years. And then all of a sudden, all the pieces came together to destroy everything. Out of nowhere, you know, we were talking about so many different archetypes. We're talking about Death Shadow. We were talking about Bant Control and Stoneblade and Eldrazi-tron, Mono Red Prowess. We were not talking about this deck. And then in a flash of a second, it starts putting up tons of results, beating people up in the top 8, and now it's a force to be reckoned with. You better be prepared for Red-Green Ponza in today's modern metagame.